Hey YouTube, Joyboy here. So today I want to talk about Zorro. And so guys, as of a couple months ago, I got a lot of hate from people and they started calling me names. They started calling me a Zorro hater. So, you know, to balance out the chi, the key of the world, to the yin and the yang, and, you know, the equilibrium and all that jazz, I thought I'd make a video hyping up Zorro. That's its sole purpose. It's not going to be groundbreaking in any way, I don't believe. It just adds a little perspective on what we should really expect about Zorro going into the future. And honestly guys, I think that your expectations should be incredibly high. But anyway guys, let's get into the video, and the first thing that I want to talk about is perhaps the most obvious of all the obvious things that I'm going to say today, which is that at some point in time Zorro should become the strongest swordsman in the world. And so guys, keeping in mind that we are in the verse Yonko saga, Yonkos are some of the biggest names in the entire world. We're already going up against Big Mom. Kaido is on the horizon. Blackbeard most certainly will be sometime in the future as well. We have the world government. How many arcs do we really know are going to happen? How many arcs do you really think are left in One Piece? And if you ask me that question, I would say not too many. And so if you're wondering when Zorro is going to become the strongest swordsman, which it's definitely going to happen, I feel as though like the Straw Hats will accomplish their dreams, unlike their mentors and their ancestors, etc. They will be the ones to accomplish what their goals are. And so guys, with that being said, I suspect that Zorro may become the strongest swordsman in the world sooner than you might expect. Sooner in terms of the One Piece story, the actual One Piece timeline, not the real world timeline. And so this all kind of depends on whether or not you believe personally that there will be a second time skip. Like we had the first time skip separating the two halves of the story, and then maybe a second time skip will happen separating the second part of the story into two halves or something like that. It's definitely possible. A lot of people have made the argument for it, but I personally am strongly against the idea. And, you know, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but, you know, there were opponents in the past that Luffy had no hope of beating, that were clearly stronger than him, no doubt about it. We had Crocodile, we had Enel, we had, you know, the world government. There was enemies out there that were as strong, or as, like, comparatively stronger than Luffy as probably Kaido is now, and yet Oda found a way to write in Luffy's victory, and I believe the same thing will happen to Kaido. And we should also keep in mind that we haven't had that classic arc yet, like that arc that really pitted all the Straw Hats to their fullest potential, made them reach down, dig deeper, uncover new powers, and just in general just really put them this close to death. Like the Enies Lobby was an arc that did that for many of the Straw Hats. Zoro pulled out his new moves, Sanji pulled out his new moves, Chopper pulled out his new moves, and I also believe, although I haven't read it recently, that Nami also did something new and interesting. Luffy pulled out his new moves. It literally pushed them to the surface, and of course, they won. And I expect there to be a similar arc in the post-time skip, and I believe that arc will be the Kaido arc, or the Wano arc. It would seem very distasteful for them to go through a 2-year time skip and not really have that arc that really shows off all their abilities, or at least have that arc and then have them get defeated despite those. It just doesn't feel right to me. But anyway, let's move past this and let's get back to Zorro. It's my personal belief that Zorro is incredibly close to already being the strongest swordsman in the world, as he stands right now. And guys, when you put together everything that Zorro has done since about midway through the first half of the story, it's blatantly clear that Oda is drastically nerfing Zorro because Zorro is just way too strong. Think about it like this: when is the last time that Zorro has actually gone all out in a fight? Think back to it. See if you can remember. And once you come to it, you'll realize that probably the last time that Zorro actually went all out was in the Thriller Bark arc, for one chapter against Ryuma the zombie. And you'll notice something interesting that happened after this point. Zorro ended up taking in all of Luffy's pain through Kuma's ability, and after that point in time, he was completely handicapped for the rest of the story leading up into the 2-year time skip. So when you're talking about Zorro and you're talking about the Shibondi Archipelago arc, you gotta put a big asterisk on it, basically saying, yeah, Zorro lost, but Zorro was injured. And this is obviously ignoring Zorro's injury that he got from Mihawk, which could have also affected him for the majority of the first half of the story. So my main point here, guys, is Zorro is no longer injured. And then of course the 2-year time skip happened. Zorro healed from his injuries. He also got trained by Mihawk, the strongest swordsman in the world, to further boot that. And then we get into the post-time skip, and who does he battle? He battles a fodder character from Hody Jones's crew that I don't even remember, some guy with octopus with multiple arms. Zorro made quick work out of him. Then we get into the Punk Hazard arc, and Zorro fights Monet a little bit, but you know, in reality doesn't really do much in that entire arc. And then he gets into Dressrosa, and he completely dismantles Pika. And then we get into the Whole Cake Island arc, and Oda will not even let him in the story. To put it very simply, guys, Zorro has not even tried after the time skip. I did a very similar video to this kind with Sanji in the past, and I basically said the same thing about Sanji that I'm about to say about Zorro, which is that I do believe Oda is saving Zorro and everything that he learns, his full potential, actually have Zorro go all out for a very particular part in the story. I believed and still believe Sanji's time to really show off everything he can do is actually in this arc, the Whole Cake Island arc. I believe the arc that will show off Zorro will be the Wano arc. I think this speculation is commonly titled something like the Year of Zorro, but I definitely subscribe to this Year of Zorro. But it's kind of funny to call it Year of Zorro now that we've actually had officially the Year of Sanji, and that Year of Sanji did not go so well for him. But anyway, guys, back to Zorro. The sky is the limit for Zorro as of right now. I mean, as he stands right now with no further training, I believe the sky is the limit. We've seen some techniques in the past that Zorro's had that we assume after 2 years of training he would only make them stronger, and we have not seen them at all. I'm talking about Asura. Asura, which still needs an explanation, an official answer from the story. That he showed off exactly one time in the story in the Enies Lobby arc, the one time where it really felt necessary to use that technique against Kaku, and then he hasn't used it again since that point in time, and I can only imagine it's better. And then when he's fighting Ryuma, he does a sort of slice where he literally catches Ryuma on fire. What is that? It's almost like an Amaterasu kind of thing. It's just, you know, I want to know more about that, and I feel like, again, given 2 years of training, Zorro would only have made that stronger. And the fact that we haven't seen them almost guarantees that the Zorro that we have seen so far in the post-time skip is just a small portion of Zorro's real power. And I think it's also interesting to note that what may really separate Zorro now and Zorro from the future, and one of those things may just be his sword. Many people speculated that he has 3 swords right now. 2 of them are some of the highest ranked swords in the world. One of them is not, and it also happens to be a cursed sword. So in the Wano arc, could Zorro switch out the cursed sword with a better, stronger sword, and would that make a huge amount of difference? I think it might. But anyway, guys, that's all I really wanted to talk about today. I just think that you should always keep perspective on what's going on. Of course, you want to look forward, but you can't remember where you have been as well, because it might help you understand, further understand where the future might be going. But anyway, let me know what you think. Like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content, and as always, guys, have a wonderful day.